Hey guys, Mr. Terrar here with your e-learning lesson for April the 10th. Uh, Today's going to be kind of a continuation of our first round of the Journey 2050 game that you guys did for your e-learning assignment on Wednesday. If you haven't already, make sure that you respond to the discussion questions that I posted on the first round of the game. Just reflect on uh, basically how you did and what decisions you made and the ripple effects of those decisions on your first round. So take a few seconds, answer those questions. There's three of them. Uh, do that first, and then once you've done that, we will get into our discussion today. And the question that we're going to examine is, do people waste food? And I ask you to take a second and think about, you know, the last few days. You've all, been home, I'm sure, for virtually all those days, and think about the food that you've consumed, whether it was a snack or whether it was a meal that was prepared for you, and think about if any of that food went to waste. Maybe it was some food left on your plate, you were full and didn't want to finish it, or maybe you didn't like that food, so you left it there, and or maybe it's food that it's a bag of chips that maybe your sibling or you left open and they got stale and you just threw them in the trash. It could be any of those things. Think about the food that you've wasted over the last few days. I'm sure we can all probably identify some food wastage that's occurred. I know, when we were still in school every day, and I would be down in the lunchroom, I would see it every day. Kids would go up with their trays, and there would still be all kinds of food on those trays that would just get dumped in the trash every single day. So we definitely are guilty of wasting food here in the United States, and several other countries do it as well. Uh, so it's no secret that we waste food here in the United States, but I want you to think about how that could contribute to the things we've been talking about over the last few days. And that the objective that we have to feed 10 billion people in the next 30 years, could reducing our food wastage potentially help us solve that problem? I think that we could all agree that it could. You know, Obviously we need to produce more food, but uh, in addition to producing more food, I think we could all agree that one of the big things that we could do is reduce the amount of food that's getting wasted as well, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, of all the food produced on our planet, 1/3 of that food is wasted. So, take a second and think about that. 1/3 of the total food produced on our planet goes to waste. That's a lot of food. That is a huge amount of food. Think about how many people that food that gets wasted could potentially go towards feeding. There are an estimated 1.4 billion people living in extreme poverty and around 870 million people that are hungry, malnourished, or food insecure. Now, food insecure might be a term that's not familiar to you, that you haven't seen. Uh, Basically, what it means is that it refers to people that have difficulty acquiring food. Now, that could be a financial hurdle that they have a hard time overcoming. It could be food availability. Maybe they don't live close to, a source of high quality food. Could be mean a number of things, but that's a huge number of people. And to see 1/3 of our food being wasted with that many people struggling to get high quality food, that's a huge issue. In developed countries such as ours, food is thrown out and overconsumed. Food either spoils or goes bad, we throw it in the trash, or we just don't want to eat it and we throw it in the trash. Or if we do eat it, a lot of times we eat too much. Our serving sizes here in the United States are very large compared to that of other countries. Um, so that all contributes to food waste as well. If we're looking at developing countries, a lot of that food is lost due to unreliable storage and transportation. Maybe a lack of refrigeration or a lack of, facilities to keep that food. A lot of it gets wasted in that way. So hunger is often caused by food waste, inability of distribution, not scarcity. What I mean by that is that, we all know that there are people that go hungry. There are people that suffer from starvation or malnutrition. The issue isn't the amount of food. It's not that we're not producing enough food to feed those people, it's other things that are causing this. So, starvation and malnutrition are not caused by a shortage of food, they're caused by other issues, whether it's, food wastage or food availability. Those are the things that are causing starvation, not the amount of food that's out there. Okay, so I want you to take a second and I want you to watch the ugly carrot video. Once again, I'm going to post the link on Canvas. So press pause on this video, watch the ugly carrot video on Canvas, and then we will talk about the video, and I've got some questions for you. So after you've watched that video, okay, you saw that carrot in the video, pretty ugly and misshapen. Have you ever seen a carrot or other produce that looked like that carrot at a grocery store? As you walk through the produce section at, say, Kroger, have you ever seen any produce or any vegetable that looked like that? And the answer is probably no. Carrots like that are sorted out and a lot of times thrown away because they just, quite frankly, don't look appealing from the outside. Is there anything different about that carrot from a nutritional standpoint? No, absolutely not. It's uh, just as good for you and has just the same vitamin content and nutritional content as any other carrot. But just because of the way that it's shaped, the fact that it's not the most eye appealing for the customer, a lot of times that carrot never gets consumed. It gets thrown away. And you can actually, there's some, and it's really cool stuff. There's a subscription services available where you can buy vegetables and produce like that ugly carrot, and you can buy them at a discounted rate, and they'll deliver you boxes of produce that are misshapen, just like that carrot, at a fraction of the cost of what that produce would cost at a grocery store. So that's one way in which we're starting to utilize those misshapen or kind of unique looking um, produce items. Okay, so if you saw that carrot or something similar to it, would you buy it? If there was a whole shelf full of carrots, okay, and one of them was shaped like the one in the video, would you buy that one as compared to the one that's shaped normally? Odds are you would probably not. You would probably uh, pass over the odd shaped carrot to buy the normal one. That's just human nature, right? So an estimated 1.3 billion tons of food never reaches a table. It just gets thrown away. Okay? It never reaches the table. So, what does it cost our environment to produce the food that we throw away? Because that food has come to cost. We know that food doesn't just appear magically. A lot of resources have been invested in that food only to be thrown in the trash. So, things like water, fuel, and energy to power the farm equipment that was used to plant and tend to and harvest that food, the land and the soil, as well as the nutrients in that soil. All of those things have been essentially wasted. We've taken all those resources that it's cost to produce that food, and we've just thrown them in the trash. And that is one of the inherent problems with food wastage. It's not, one of the issues is that that food is not being utilized by people that really need it. But another element, another layer to the problem is that all of those resources that have gone into producing that food have now gone to waste. So the problem gets way worse. We talk about that ripple effect. Well, the ripple effect can be negative just as much as it can be positive. So one thing I want you to think about is, some things that happen when a country is hungry versus when a country has an overabundance of food. So when a country is hungry, they see issues with malnutrition and they have more issues with healthcare. Statistically speaking, violence and thievery are more prevalent in countries that struggle with starvation. Those countries that struggle with hunger are more vulnerable to markets and shortage. They see a decline in education attendance. When people are hungry, they don't go to school. Okay, and education suffers. They see more political distress and corruption. They see a decline in infrastructure, investment in technology and innovation, and they see a risk of unsustainable practices across industries. And then on the flip side of things, when a country has an overabundance of food, they see more food wastage. Quality food is thrown out. They see a higher prevalence of obesity. Okay, people increase their calorie intake. They eat more per meal. We see a rise in Western style diets and desire for food from other places. We see a shift to more urban population, which can result in disconnect with life on the farm. When countries have an overabundance of food, we see consumer demands and perspectives influence food value chain. Okay, so basically a demand for non-GMO, organic, free-range type of foods. So think about, okay, what country we live in. We live in. We're in the United States. Which of these things does our country sound more like? Does it sound more like a country that's hungry, or does it sound more like a country that has an overabundance of food? I think we could all agree that the United States falls under this umbrella almost to a T. So to wrap up, kind of our first lesson, okay, our first big lesson in terms of uh, Journey 2050. By 2050, it is expected that our world will grow from over 7 billion to 10 billion people. Sustainable agriculture is the practice of producing our food, fiber, and fuel in a way that is profitable to the farmer, supports a healthy quality of life, and protects our natural resources. Many factors can limit our ability to produce food for a growing population. These limiting factors are depicted in the sustainability barrel. Using sustainable agriculture practices can improve our society through the ripple effect. Over one-third of our food is wasted in both developing and developed countries. Hunger is often caused by food waste and inequality of distribution, not scarcity. Food waste decreases sustainability due to the inefficient use of natural resources such as arable land, soil nutrients, water, and energy. Food waste can negatively affect our quality of life and create undesirable outcomes in a country. Okay, so with that being said, that concludes our lesson for today. I do have a couple more questions that I want you to answer on Canvas to complete your e-learning lesson, but we will be moving forward with our next unit on our Journey 2050 curriculum. So with that being said, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. This assignment is due by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And let me know if I can help you in any way. Thanks and have a great day.